Hey guys, welcome to Apex Custom Rifles. Not too long ago I put out a short video talking about paying a gunsmith good money to put on a barrel for you. And I had a gentleman ask me, well, why? Give me some reasons why. Okay, I'll give you some reasons why. I'll give you about 10 reasons why. Let's start from the top. So anytime you want to build a custom rifle, there's several ways to do it. You can go out and buy pre-fit, pre-chambered barrels for a lot of different rifles. There's a lot of different actions out there, a lot of different barrels you can choose from, a lot of different makers, contours, twist rates, all that fun stuff. But when it comes right down to it, you take a look at the guys at the top of the class in the shooting world, which would be the bench rest shooters. Zero of those guys use pre-fit barrels, and the reason for that is they want to know what they get, they want an exact thing, and they don't want to guess as to the quality of it because they have had them made from certain gunsmiths and they know the quality they put out and they know the consistency they can put out. What I've got in front of me here is a few of the reasons why, and we'll go over this here. The number one reason why you might want to have a gunsmith chamber your barrel is there's a specific chamber that you want. There's a specific reamer that you want to use for your specific cartridge to fill all your needs that you want to try and accomplish. A good example of that is, this is a PTG, but this is a Lapua 6BR reamer that is set up for Lapua blue box brass. It's got a 2704 neck. I believe it's a 104 freebore. I'd have to double check my print, but I believe it's a 104. This is set up specifically for Lapua brass to minimize the amount of sizing that you got to do on the brass, and also to get the specific freebore that you want for that 105 class bullet, give or take. A few of the considerations when talking about these different reamers is you can get a certain neck diameter if you want to turn them. If you don't want to turn them, these Lapua reamers are set up for a no neck turn, so they're a tight reamer. This right here is what is this guy? This is a Manson 300 PRC reamer, and this is the Alex Wheeler version of it. Alex Wheeler has come out and put out some great prints on some of these PRC cases to minimize clicks and a few things like that, versus a standard factory chamber where you're going to get sizing issues in your brass a little later on down the road after several firings. This reamer fixes that for the most part. You have your gun done with that reamer right there, and you should never have sizing issues under regular circumstances with your PRC brass. So this guy right here, if we want to throat, say our 6BR, and we want to shoot the 105s, or we want to shoot 107s, or we want to shoot a specific type of bullet that is typically a lot longer than most standard factory length freebores are, then we can come in here and we can either get a chamber reamer made for it, or we can go in there and throat it specifically for your bullet and your dummy round that you provide. If you have several barrels that you're going through in a year and you are trying to use the same brass between all your rifles, getting a rifle barrel chambered by a good gunsmith that can set your headspace exact time after time is an invaluable asset to have, because you can take this brass and switch it between 5, 6, 10 different barrels, and you can size it the same every time. You can get the same exact bump on it, you can have the same headspace on it, and you're going to end up having good brass life with your expensive $2–3 a piece brass. The next thing we talk about is your thread to receiver fit. And when you're chambering 500 of these barrels on a CNC, they do run quality QC checks on them, but they have to guarantee basically that that's going to fit in every single action they put out. Now, when you have good quality Defiance actions like this, you can get consistent headspace and consistent thread diameter on those actions. When you get into some other actions, like say some Remington 700s and some more factory class rifles, receivers, you have to make those threads a little undersized to guarantee that they're going to fit on every single action that somebody tries to screw them into. Therefore, we can guarantee that this barrel is going to fit the way it's supposed to, not too tight, not too loose, to this action and any other action that we would be barreling. When I go through and chamber these barrels too, the other thing we want to keep in mind is that a Prefit barrel is not going to allow you to clock your barrel. A lot of times, more often than not, you will get run out in your barrel, and the theory behind clocking them is to clock them up or clock them down. At 12 o'clock would be straight up and 6 o'clock straight down. If you're shooting long range, typically you want to clock them at 12 o'clock. So when this barrel is spinning in the lathe, you find the high spot out on the muzzle, you mark it, and then you time it to this receiver to make sure that that barrel is going to be clocked perfectly at 12 o'clock. If you're shooting shorter range stuff, you can clock them down. It's not going to matter as much. The theory behind 12 o'clock clocking is that you're going to get, you know, if the bullet does go up or down, it's going to go up further than it goes down. So theoretically, you could get a little more distance out of it if you clock it at 12 o'clock. But that's another reason you're not going to be guaranteed that on a Prefit barrel. The next thing we look at is if you want a specific type of barrel or a barrel that needs to be custom cut, custom contoured. You're not going to get that in a Prefit most times. A lot of times if you're running a chassis or something like that, they accept pretty much any barrel up to 1.25 inches. But if you're running a specific stock or specifically a nice wood stock, you may need a specific contour. This is a 4-contour spiral flute heart that you can get, but this barrel may be needed for a specific rifle that had this exact same barrel before. The odds of you getting a hunting barrel like this are not nearly as likely as getting, say, I know a lot of guys will turn proofs out, and proof even turns out Prefits for a lot of different actions, but there's a lot of different stocks that are set up for proof Sendero contours, proof Sendero light, proof Sendero, or other contours. It's just another reason why you may need to have a gunsmith set up your custom barrel. Going the next step, you may want a specific barrel maker. This specific one is Hart. At the moment, there may be, but I don't know anybody specifically that pre-threads and prefits Hart barrels. So if you're a Hart fanatic or several other different makers out there, you may want a Hart instead of a proof. Well, you're gonna have to find a good guy to put it on for you. Another reason why you should pay good money to have a gunsmith put a rifle barrel on there for you is that you have a rifle receiver or an old outdated rifle or even a new factory rifle that nobody makes prefits for. Therefore, you're going to have that guy custom fit. And the last reason why you would want to pay a gunsmith good money to put a barrel on for you is that you don't have to buy the tools to put it on. Granted, it's not super expensive to buy all the tools, but you can easily spend $200, $300, $400 buying tools to properly install a barrel. If you want to head space it, make sure the head spacing's all there. It adds up. A barrel vise, action wrench, headspace gauges. To do it right, you need that stuff. One last note before I leave here, I was just going to show you this. So when I do rifle receivers like this, especially customs, and even factory rifles, usually, see this one's all beat and worn and drawn on, but this is a tenon print for a bat VR. And a lot of these custom receivers like bats and Defiances and a few others, they hold very tight tolerances, and if you follow your numbers here, 99 times out of 100, it'll screw right on and it'll fit the way it's supposed to fit. You measure them, you double check and make sure they're the way they're supposed to be, and then you have an amazing shooting, hunting, competition, for fun, varmint, whatever rifle that you want. Alright, I hope you guys got something out of that. It's a basic overview of some of the things that you might want to consider when either going a pre-fit or having a gunsmith fit a barrel for you. If you can find a really good gunsmith that can do this stuff for you, like me, and they will put this stuff on, it will fit the way it's supposed to fit, it will have the tolerances that it's supposed to have, and it will shoot the way it's supposed to shoot. Therefore, if you want to squeeze every ounce possible out of your rifle and your barrel, it might be worth the consideration to pay the money to have a good gunsmith install that barrel for you. Especially when you're spending the kind of money that you spend on these things. Skimping on that one last thing might be the difference between winning a match by a point or two or not. It might be the difference between ethically shooting a deer at 400 yards if you're capable and you have the equipment to do it. Those are just a few of the considerations you might want to consider in the future if you're going to have a barrel put on a rifle in the future. Alright, I hope you guys enjoyed that. Be sure to check out my channel. If you got any questions, comment below. Let me know your thoughts on all this stuff. I'm always willing to listen to comments and complaints. So, anyways, take care guys. See you later.